The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." You've probably heard the saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Well, today we're going to explore that concept through the lens of Stoicism. We'll discuss 7 types of people who can derail your progress on your Stoic journey and how to navigate these challenging relationships. Before we begin, I would really appreciate it if you liked this video. It helps me continue spreading Stoic philosophy. If you're not subscribed yet, I recommend you do so and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Number 1. The complainer. We all know someone, a friend, family member or co-worker, who seems to find fault in everything. Whether it's the weather, their job, or even the food at a popular restaurant, they never miss an opportunity to express their dissatisfaction. Now, you might be wondering, why should this concern me? I can just ignore them. But that's easier said than done. Constant exposure to such negativity can have a draining effect on your mental well-being. It's like a leaky faucet, slowly depleting your reservoir of emotional energy. Stoicism teaches us to focus on actionable solutions instead of dwelling on problems. Let's say you're collaborating on a project with a perpetual complainer. Every meeting turns into an exhausting session of grievances without any constructive dialogue. What happens next? The team's morale declines. You're sidetracked from finding real solutions, and you may find yourself feeling disillusioned with the project and possibly even life in general. So how does Stoicism help us deal with complainers? Here are a few strategies. Limit your exposure to this person whenever possible. If that's not an option, maybe they're a family member or co-worker, then mentally distance yourself during their complaints. Think of their negativity as a passing storm, loud and unsettling, but ultimately temporary and powerless against the immovable mountain that is your inner tranquility. Steer the conversation towards solutions or change the subject to something more constructive. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This timeless Stoic wisdom reminds us to guard our mental peace diligently, ensuring that chronic complainers don't derail our Stoic path of resilience and virtue. Number 2. The drama magnet picture. You're navigating your life like a ship sailing through calm waters. Then you encounter the drama magnet, an individual with an endless series of crises, conflicts and controversies. Like a whirlpool, they have an unsettling ability to pull you into their vortex of chaos. At first, you might mistake the drama magnet's energy for passion or excitement, but soon enough, you realize that being in their orbit is like navigating a ship through a storm, exhausting and dangerous. What makes dealing with drama magnets so tricky is that their crises often start to feel like your own. Their chaos is contagious, and before you know it, you're embroiled in conflicts you had no part in to begin with. Let's consider a practical example. You have a friend who frequently falls out with others in your social circle. Suddenly, you're drawn into arguments that have nothing to do with you, simply because of your proximity to them. Today, they're not talking to Sarah. Tomorrow, it's Tom. Your friend comes to you for advice, but you notice that this cycle never ends. Suddenly, you find yourself also at odds with Sarah or Tom because you tried to intervene. In this case, you could employ a strategy called reflective listening. Instead of offering advice or taking sides, mirror their words back to them. For example, if they say, "I can't believe Sarah said that about me," you could respond with, "So you're feeling betrayed by Sarah's words?" This technique allows you to provide emotional support without getting entangled in the drama yourself. Another approach, and one that might sound counterintuitive, is to become selectively unavailable. Stoicism reminds us to value our time highly, and sometimes that means being unavailable for other people's crises, especially if they are recurring without resolution. Turn off your phone during certain hours. Create focus periods where you concentrate solely on your work or personal development, and make it known that during these times you are not to be disturbed. To paraphrase Seneca, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future. This can be particularly helpful when dealing with drama magnets. Instead of anxiously wondering what crisis will happen next, concentrate on the present moment, where you have control. Enjoy your life and don't let it be disrupted by someone else's drama. Make it a point to sail your ship calmly, steering clear of whirlpools that threaten your voyage towards personal growth and tranquility. Number 3. The Naysayer picture. You're an artist painting a canvas. Each brushstroke adds color, depth, and life to your vision. Enter the Naysayer. They walk into your studio, glance at your work, and immediately begin to critique it. Are you sure about that color? That doesn't look realistic. You know most artists never make it, right? Their words, like strokes of gray paint, start to dull your vibrant canvas. This isn't the kind of constructive criticism that can be valuable. Instead, it's a persistent aura of doubt and negativity. For example, let's say you're excited about pursuing a new career path. You've done your research, spoken to professionals in the field, and maybe even taken a few preliminary courses. When you share your enthusiasm with the naysayer, they quickly list all the reasons it won't work out. The market is too competitive. Do you have the right skills? What if you fail? Soon enough, their doubts start to feel like your own, and the confident vision you had begins to wobble. So, how do you deal with a naysayer, especially when they might be someone close to you? One unconventional but effective method is to ask them for advice, instead of just sharing your plans or aspirations. When people are put in an advisory role, they're less likely to attack your ideas outright and may offer more constructive feedback. Another method involves flipping the script using a technique called positive confrontation. Instead of absorbing their negativity, challenge them to think of solutions. If they say, "You'll never be able to switch careers at this stage," counter with, "Interesting perspective. How do you think someone could successfully make a career change then?" This not only deflects the negativity, but also encourages a more constructive conversation. Remember the words of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus: "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Listening doesn't mean absorbing everyone's negativity. It means discerning valuable input from mere noise. When the naysayers start to cloud your canvas with their shades of doubt, take a step back, listen, reflect, and continue painting your own life with the colors that speak to you. Don't let anyone turn your vibrant masterpiece into a dull gray landscape. Number 4. The victim. Imagine life as a game of chess. Each player has the same pieces and the same goal: to checkmate the opponent's king. You think strategically, make sacrifices, and take risks. The victim, however, blames the board, the pieces, or even their opponent for every poor move they make. In their eyes, they are perpetually in checkmate, not because of their choices, but because of some external force working against them. Their narrative is a never-ending tale of woe, with themselves cast as the helpless protagonist. "I can't get ahead in my job because my boss dislikes me," or "I can't get fit because I have bad genetics." Now, it's crucial to note that some people face genuine hardships and systemic issues. However, the victim we're discussing uses their predicament as a permanent excuse, refusing to take responsibility for their actions or lack thereof. You might find yourself entangled in their storyline, perhaps as the supporting character who constantly needs to rescue them. Let's say you've spent countless hours listening to a friend blame their string of failed relationships entirely on their ex-partners. Not only does this drain your time, but it can also subtly encourage you to adopt a similar victim mindset in your own life. So, what's your move when dealing with a victim? It might be tempting to become their savior, offering endless advice and emotional support. But the Stoics would caution against this. They'd recommend drawing firm boundaries to protect your own mental state. You could employ a technique known as compassionate detachment. Show empathy and kindness, but don't try to rescue them from situations they need to navigate themselves. Offer a listening ear, but refrain from becoming their perpetual problem solver. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." If you find yourself sucked into the victim's narrative, resist the urge to become one yourself. Take control of your own game board, make your moves, and remember, in the chess game of life, being perpetually in checkmate is often a choice, not a fate. Keep your pieces moving forward, make strategic sacrifices when necessary, and play not for revenge or pity, but for growth and wisdom. Number 5. The toxic positivist. You know this person. They're always exuding sunshine, rainbows, and endless streams of emojis. They're the ones telling you to just be happy when you're going through a difficult time, dismissing your feelings and experiences with a flip of glittery optimism. Imagine your life as a garden. There are beautiful flowers, but there are also weeds and pests. A toxic positivist, however, insists on ignoring anything that isn't a blooming rose. Got aphids on your leaves? Just focus on the flowers. Don't let negativity into your garden, they'd say. While it may sound uplifting, their approach can leave you feeling invalidated and disconnected from reality. Suppose you're going through a tough breakup. You're sad, confused, and seeking some emotional balance. Instead of acknowledging your pain, the toxic positivist might respond with, "Just move on and be happy. Look on the bright side." But this kind of response glosses over your genuine feelings and can make you feel worse instead of better. You know the advice. There are plenty of fish in the sea, just smile and be happy. This sort of excessive positivity neglects the complexities of human emotion and the realities of life's challenges. So how do you cultivate your garden without letting the toxic positivists trample it with their indiscriminate sprinkling of good vibes only? One strategy is to engage them in a discussion that embraces both light and shadow. If they say, "Look on the bright side, at least you have your health," you could reply, "Yes, I'm grateful for my health, but it's also okay for me to feel upset about this specific issue." Both can coexist. You can also use what psychologists call emotional granularity, the ability to feel and differentiate between a wide range of emotions, both positive and negative. When the toxic positivist pushes you to just be happy, take a moment to acknowledge and label your nuanced feelings. Saying something like, "I'm feeling a bit melancholic today due to X, and that's okay," can be a liberating affirmation. To reference Stoic thought, Seneca once said, "True happiness is to understand our duties toward God and man, to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Notice the balance, understanding duties, which aren't always pleasant, and enjoying the present. A Stoic approach isn't about focusing solely on the positive or the negative, but rather about embracing life's complexity with equanimity. So the next time the toxic positivist sprinkles their confetti on your carefully tended garden, take a step back. Remember, a garden needs both sunshine and rain to flourish. Embrace your full emotional spectrum and keep nurturing your garden with the richness and complexity it deserves. Number 6. The Manipulator. Picture your life as a movie script. You're the main character, and you have an idea of how your story should unfold. where the twists are, who your allies and mentors are, and what your final act looks like. Enter the manipulator, the shadowy producer who subtly rewrites your script without you even realizing it, until one day you find your storyline has veered off course. The manipulator is skilled in the art of emotional or psychological maneuvering. They might use flattery, guilt trips, or even deceit to steer you in a direction that benefits them. For example, you might have a friend who always manages to get you to pay for dinner by saying something like, "You know, I've been having a rough month, and you're so successful. It wouldn't mean much to you, but it would really make my day." Over time, you realize your generosity has been taken advantage of, but calling them out feels uncomfortable because they've framed it as a favor to a friend in need. Handling a manipulator can be tricky. One method to counteract their tactics is a technique called fogging. This involves agreeing with any truth in the manipulator's statements, but refusing to be moved by emotional coercion. For example, if they say, "You're so successful, you should cover dinner," you could respond, "You're right, I've been doing well, but let's split the bill as we usually do." Another approach is to set clear boundaries and enforce them. If the manipulator wants you to lend them money or commit to tasks you're uncomfortable with, learn to say no assertively. Keep your tone calm and your words clear. For example, "I can't lend money, but I'm here to offer emotional support," sets a boundary while maintaining the friendship. Drawing inspiration from Stoic thought, Epictetus warned us, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." The manipulator thrives on your predictable reactions. They manipulate your kindness, your guilt, or your desire for approval. By choosing to respond differently, you're taking control of your script again. So, if you find a manipulator lurking in your life, remember that you're the one holding the pen. Your storyline is yours to write. And while the cast may include a variety of characters, the protagonist's journey, your journey, should always be guided by your own values and decisions. Reclaim your script and don't let anyone manipulate your life's narrative. Number 7. The Time Vampire. Imagine your daily routine as a carefully crafted symphony. Each instrument represents a task or commitment, and when played together, they create a harmonious balance. But then, the time vampire joins in, screeching off-key, drowning out your melody, and turning your beautiful composition into discordant noise. The time vampire is not necessarily malicious. In fact, they might seem quite benign. It could be a colleague who constantly interrupts you with trivial questions, turning your productive workday into a series of fragmented moments. Or it could be a friend who invites you to countless social events that you're not interested in, making you feel obligated to attend, draining your time and energy. These interactions might seem inconsequential in the moment, but the cumulative effect can be profoundly disruptive. So, how do you protect your symphony from being ruined by a time vampire? One effective strategy is the Pomodoro technique, a time management method that involves breaking your work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes, separated by short breaks. During these intervals, make it clear that you are not to be disturbed. This sets a boundary that protects your most productive times from being nibbled away. If you're dealing with a social time vampire, remember that saying no is not just okay, but essential for your well-being. Instead of offering elaborate excuses, a simple, "I appreciate the invite, but I can't make it," suffices. Declining an invitation is not a rejection of the person, it's an affirmation of your own needs and priorities. As Seneca wisely said, "Life, if well lived, is long enough." Stoicism teaches us that time is one of our most precious resources, a resource that should be allocated wisely. Time is the canvas upon which we paint the portrait of our lives, and we should be highly selective about who and what deserves a stroke of our brush. In the grand composition of your life, make sure each note, each instrument, and each melody aligns with your greater purpose. Don't let the cacophonous intrusion of a time vampire throw your symphony into disarray. Hold the baton firmly and conduct your life with purpose, ensuring that every moment is a note well played in your harmonious masterpiece. Conclusion. As we reach the finale of today's exploration into the characters who can derail our path towards Stoic resilience and wisdom, let's not forget that self-awareness is key. It's easy to recognize these types in others, but the more challenging and enlightening task is to look within. Are you perhaps unintentionally playing one of these roles in someone else's life? Remember, Stoicism isn't just about navigating the world. It's also about understanding and improving ourselves. If today's discussion has sparked a realization, an epiphany, or even just a bit of introspection, I'd love to hear from you in the comments section. Write your thoughts, share your experiences, and let's engage in a dialogue that enriches us all. Until next time, may your choices align with your virtues, may your actions reflect your wisdom, and may your life be the masterpiece you're meant to create.